G'day VC, Vinyl Boy Triggerback for another video. This one's going to be talking about a record that I've had in my inbox for quite a while. Just got it from a local charity shop and just going through your inbox slowly as you do. I've been listening to a bit more 50s, 60s rock and roll recently, and this was one, a bit of a weird one, but interesting. So, and sort of signifies another reason why we do this hobby of collecting and habit of looking for vinyl, because it just gives you find weird and wonderful stuff that deliver really nice messages and thought emotive processes and just cool stuff. So it's basically this one here. So I'll talk a bit more on the cover in a little while. It's basically Red Records, as said on it. It's one of the reasons I picked it up. It's rock and roll. It's from a company called Wendi Records. But on the back is basically a whole story, and I'm going to read it to you. So it's a little bit long, but I read it and I was really quite interested about it, and it said some really interesting stuff. So I thought I'd just share that with you. Hopefully you find it interesting, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so so this is obviously from the Wendi, who's obviously the founder, or the company director or something like that. Wendi Records. So firstly, let me thank all those people who bought Volume 1. Hey babe, let's go downtown. Your support made the record clear costs, and hence Volume 2, action-packed. Anticipating future support, Volume 3 is underway, featuring 19 tracks of great rockabilly: Lucky Joe Almond, Tex Williams, Lefty Fizzle, Sid King, Bill Carlisle, and a host of others. This issue has been delayed some weeks in being pressed. The reason? The pressing plants are going full bore on churning out copies of Saturday Night Fever. While those records have waited almost 20 years to be released in Australia, hell, I don't suppose a couple more weeks will hurt. The timelessness of rock and roll appeal, as compared to the immediate appeal of, say, Saturday Night Fever, does in fact mean that sales of the above would be substantially and permanently reduced if they were not readily available. Good point. I do not mean to imply that everyone loves rock and roll, or that it has sales potentials of the music of today. It did not. Elvis, Fats, Pat, sure, they sold millions, but your greats like Chuck Berry, Ed Cochran, Gene Vincent, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins just did not do as well as, say, the Bee Gees and Elton John. However, the strains of Bebop Ballop, Bala, Great Balls of Fire, and Blue Suede Shoes, and all the rest live on, and even now, World, Honky Cat, and Alligator Rock are not else but quaint reminders of a time past, not of a mood and excitement, an era. The music of today lives and dies within the framework of time that is publicly aired. Rock and roll, such as you will hear on this LP, are rarely aired in Australia. However, there will be no mistaking the mood that it carries, the excitement that the beat offers, or the times that it spawned from. The late 50s, seeped in worldwide political unrest, sexual restrictions, and the emergence of new breed. All those wartime babies reaching adulthood, larger in numbers than society knew what to do with. Occupants in homes where mothers, fathers had met, wed, and bred, not necessarily in that order, were still strangers, getting to know each other or not really caring. Expressions like generation gap were invented, and though the expressions didn't help breach the gap, it gave it an air of respectability and even inevitability. Those young adults started living in a society of parents and teenagers, not of one people. Whenever they sought shelter, they sought it with friends, not parents, and in return were classed into gangs. Exuberance was used as violence, and violence, when it actually occurred, was taken to show that the whole structure of society was crumbling. Human values meant nothing. Young adults were known as bodgies and widgies and looked upon with suspicion. Everyone knows from countless cowboy movies that if not from life, that you cannot show a horse that you are afraid of it, as it will take advantage and rebel against you. Isn't it a pity such a hoarse sense never occurred to parents to apply to their children? And so, rebel we did. We rejected the lifestyle of the past, the clothing, fashion of the times, and the music created our own. Teenagers were a subculture lifestyle, and that subculture is the music of these LPs. Songs like action-packed screech their lyrics and lifestyles that the listener backed up by slashing guitars. Teenage blues, suffering as it does from those 800 girl choruses, also gives us a view of 50s lifestyle, while Tiny Topsy laments the after-marriage blues. And I guess you broke my heart and I broke your jaw is a good answer to the infidelity problem as you get. The song is good, yes. Is it Mickey or Sylvia sound like? Why not? It's the same Sylvia, but this time with Bobby Hebb before he became notorious with Sonny. Getting there. However, not all was deep or heavy philosophical. Most was just plain rock and roll. Your late Miss Kate. I think I was right. Your late Miss Kate, here I come, and the message, Silly Sally, Rock and Roll Santa, Little Bo Peep, 50 megatons, and the rest are far from thought-provoking, but oh boy, aren't they great. Tastes vary, but surely more than half of those tracks in your opinion, great rock and roll, not pop, not R&B, not R&B, certainly not doo-wop, just plain rock and roll. If you groove on saxes, lend an ear to your late Miss Kate, Little Bo Peep, Willie B, for guitars. Just hear the slashing strings of action-packed 50 megatons and naturally guitar-picking fool. Maybe wild vocals are your bay. Well, stroll and bun, the Don and Dewey style, Big Fat Sally, and try your love. Less wild than yelling and just quietly, very rare. And of course the two Tiny Topsy tracks the girl could sing, Come Softly to Me and Make It Sound Like Shout. More tracks from her on the future LPs. Anyway, thanks again for buying the LP. To comment, read the cover. Let me state this. Yes, I'm aware that they are cheap looking, but if you had a nice glossy one, then the cost would go up by 60 cents at least. It's the sound quality that I spent the money on, and indeed you must admit. If you have the original 45s, then the sound quality is close to the original as possible. Future LPs are planned to be similar in appearance, but may have more information regarding dates, sessions, labels, writers, etc. But for right now, it doesn't seem sensible to do. Keep on rocking, Wendy. Really cool, interesting points there. So this is the artwork. Pretty cool. There's like a werewolf there and a woman over his shoulder, and there's a motorbike dude over here with a record. And cool. And these are actually just stuck on, like sort of obviously, just glued on to the covers. So basic covers, but as I say, she's reducing costs and putting it more into sound quality. I just thought that was interesting. So and I actually looked this up. This is actually on Discogs, the Wendi Records. These are the original releases in about 1980, and they're actually re-releases by popular demand in the 90s, and there was 303 of these ones. I've got the original one, which is a pretty basic label. Wendi Records. But there was a re-release on a darker blue label, and it said 303 released. And they're actually, so the reissues actually go for more than the originals, which I don't know if that's very common. But I just thought quite thought-provoking, philosophical, and yeah, interesting. And that's another quirky reason we do this habit. All right, get back to you shortly. Keep spinning.